Intro. In November of 1990, Soviet police finally arrested one of the most terrifying serial killers of the 20th century. His name was Andrei Chikatilo. Over the course of more than a decade, he murdered dozens of people, mostly children and vulnerable women, across multiple regions of the Soviet Union. His crimes shocked the world. Films and TV series are still made about him, and disturbingly, some killers who came after him tried to outdo his body count. But here's the real question. How did he evade capture for 13 years? Why were innocent people convicted and even executed in his place? Why did the Soviet government spend the equivalent of millions of dollars hunting one man and still fail for so long? And most importantly, how was Chikatilo finally caught? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is The Theory of Everything. Part 1. A child born into chaos. Andrei Chikatilo was born in October 1936 in rural Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. From the very beginning, his life was marked by instability. According to later accounts, he suffered from hydrocephalus, a condition that can cause chronic pain, neurological issues, and impaired vision. He also claimed his mother was physically abusive, especially humiliating him for bedwetting, something that deeply traumatized him. When World War II reached the Soviet Union, Chikatilo's father was sent to the front lines. Shortly after, the village where Andrei lived was occupied by Nazi forces. Chikatilo later claimed he witnessed mass executions, including children being shot as they tried to escape. One story describes him slipping, hitting his head, and waking up in a pit filled with dead bodies. Whether this specific incident happened or not remains unproven. But what is clear is that the war left permanent psychological scars. During the war, his mother gave birth to a daughter. Rumors spread that the child was the result of rape by a German soldier. Chikatilo also claimed he once had an older brother who was cannibalized during the famine of the early 1930s, a period when millions starved to death. There is no evidence that this brother ever existed. Historians believe such stories were often told to scare children into staying close to home. Still, fear became a constant presence in his childhood. Part 2. Sexual Trauma and Humiliation. As a teenager, Chikatilo claimed a neighbor attempted to sexually assault him. Later, while serving in the Soviet Army, he said he himself was raped by fellow soldiers. Whether all of these claims are true is still debated, but what followed is undeniable. Despite appearing socially awkward, Chikatilo could attract women, but during intimacy he was unable to perform. One former partner later said, "He wasn't a man." Word spread through the village. I was humiliated. Ashamed, Chikatilo fled his hometown. Eventually he married. The relationship lacked passion, but they had 2 children. To outsiders, he appeared gentle and harmless. He reportedly couldn't even slaughter a chicken, saying he felt sorry for it. No one suspected what he would become. Part 3. The First Warning Signs. Chikatilo began working as a teacher at a boarding school. This is where his first documented deviant behaviors appeared. He would sit close to female students under the pretense of helping them study, touching and hugging them inappropriately. In one case, he locked himself in a classroom with a girl. Later, during a school swimming trip, he approached a girl who had drifted away from the group and began groping her in the water. She fought back, and for the first time Chikatilo experienced sexual arousal linked to fear and resistance. Shortly after, he was forced to resign. He moved his family to the city of Shakhty in southern Russia and took a job as a supply manager, a role that required frequent travel. This mobility would later make him extremely difficult to track. Part 4. The Killings Begin. In December 1978, a second-grade girl named Elena Zakotnova disappeared. 2 days later, her body was found, assaulted and murdered. Police arrested a man named Alexander Kravchenko, who had a prior conviction for sexual assault. Despite weak evidence, Kravchenko was executed. Chikatilo himself had been questioned, but investigators lacked proof. This miscarriage of justice would later fuel debates about the death penalty in Russia. And tragically, the killings didn't stop. Because the Soviet media was forbidden from reporting on serial crime, the public had no idea a predator was operating. Women and children had no warning. Chikatilo targeted victims at bus stops and train stations, offering help, directions, or invitations to watch movies. They went with him willingly, and they never came back. Part 5. Why he was so hard to catch. Chikatilo killed near public paths, places where people often walked. He later claimed he felt protected, as if no one could see or hear him. Police believed the killer had to be mentally ill. They arrested numerous psychiatric patients. Locals mockingly called the operation the case of the madman. False confessions piled up. Wrong people were convicted. The real killer stayed free. At one point, police detained Chikatilo near a bus station. He carried a knife, rope, and petroleum jelly. He explained, the rope was for boxes, the knife for food, the jelly for shaving. His blood type didn't match what investigators expected due to a scientific misunderstanding. He was released. The murders continued. Only after the victim count exceeded 40 did authorities launch a massive operation, spending millions, deploying helicopters, and mobilizing thousands of officers and volunteers, including Chikatilo himself, who helped search for the killer. Part 6. The Psychiatrist. Desperate, police consulted psychiatrist Alexander Bukhanovsky. Based solely on crime scenes, Bukhanovsky profiled the killer as a calm, intelligent family man, socially unremarkable, sexually impotent, using violence as a substitute for intimacy. This profile would later prove terrifyingly accurate. Part 7. The Arrest. In November 1990, after another murder, a police officer noticed a man leaving the woods. His coat was covered in leaves. He carried a suspicious bag. He didn't look like a mushroom picker. That man was Andrei Chikatilo. Surveillance followed. Soon, police observed him repeatedly attempting to approach children. On November 20th, he left work early with a bitten, fractured finger, inflicted by a teenage victim who fought back. On his way home, he stopped to buy beer. Outside the store, he was arrested. There was still no physical evidence, but then Bukhanovsky spoke with him. After 3 hours, Chikatilo confessed, in his own handwriting, to 50 murders. The true number may never be known. Part 8. Trial and Execution. During trial, Chikatilo feigned insanity, screaming, undressing, mocking the court. Families of victims tried to attack him. The judge sentenced him to death. In February 1994, under the pretense of a medical exam, Andrei Chikatilo was executed. Epilogue. The legacy of evil years. With Navova, Russia would face new monsters. Alexander Pichushkin, the chessboard killer, Mikhail Popkov, who killed even more than Chikatilo. Both are serving life sentences. Chikatilo remains a symbol of systemic failure, bad science, political denial, silence. So here's the question for you. Was Chikatilo insane or fully responsible? Was execution justice or too easy? And what could have stopped him sooner? Let me know in the comments.